Gabi Reish is the head of product at Cybersixgill. And Gabi, the cybersecurity landscape is kind of ever changing, and this past year was no exception to that. And part of that is we continue to hear this kind of escalating language about the threats of cyber attack and the dangers of kind of this interconnected cyber landscape that we now occupy. But you have a pretty good handle because you see the technology on the realities of this landscape. What are some of the forces that drive this change in the complexities in cybersecurity right now?
Yeah. So, hi, Dan. Yeah. So, for the past 20 years or so, and or 15 or 20 years or so, when we look at the upcoming year, we always say that for the past year, the cybersecurity attacks have intensified, and they will intensify the year later. And it's always the cyber war rages on. That's the common message there. And yes, that's true, and it will intensify as it did, and it will accelerate. So yes, we can talk about the regular stuff, but I think that there are three factors, okay, that's making somewhat 2023 a bit different, could be a bit different. And the three factors I think that making a difference are the geopolitical environment that we're in, that's number one. The economic environment that we're in, that we're a bit of a recession. And the third thing, which I think is very, very interesting, is introduction. I won't say introduction, but the exposure of AI in our day-to-day life in a level that we haven't seen before, which is making things a bit different. And we're looking at the sophistication in a different way on the world of the cyber war between the bad guys and the good guys, between the black hats and the white hats.
You mentioned geopolitical and economic forces, but let's kind of stay on artificial intelligence because this is something that has really captured the zeitgeist. How is AI changing the threat intelligence and cybersecurity landscape?
Yeah, so anytime we talk about sophistication, you have to look and you have to give two different aspects. They're one of the protectors, the defenders, and also the attackers. But let's look for the attackers. I think that with technologies like AI, they're bringing the sophistication to the next level. And the most common technology now that everybody's going crazy about is things like ChatGPT. And I just recently read an article talking about, I think we also posted it, that attackers are using ChatGPT to improve their ability to send phishing emails, and they're using it to make their messages for spear phishing, for phishing, a lot more authentic. So just one example of how you're using technologies to perfect, or AI technologies perfect your way to lure some of the people inside, and actually use all kinds of ransomware attacks and others, the way to actually attack you. So this is just one example. Another thing that AI for the bad guys is relevant, it helps them focus on this social engineer aspect, on the different customers, users, and how to actually perfect their way to penetrate into organizations. As I said, there's also the flip side of that, and that's the defenders. And defenders are using AI technologies in order to look at additional better ways to profile attackers, profile threats, profile the different aspects there. So we, as a cybersecurity threat intelligence company, we're using a lot of AI technologies to actually extract entities, extract information. And there are other vendors that are using the same type of technologies. Just on that perspective, there's always one example I love using when talking about why is AI and machine learning critical in the world of threat intelligence, our space. I'll give you one example. If I'm looking at a post on Twitter, and I'm trying to find some kind of interesting indicatives of threats. Now I'm looking at this word, orange. I'm meaning Orange County, orange as a color, orange as a fruit, or orange as telecommunication company. And why is it important? Because if I'm looking at something that's trying to, because of intentions of attackers, and they're using this word orange as part of it, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to infiltrate the orange company, or they're trying to do some kind of thing, against somebody in his district or whatever of Orange County? So these are things that are important for you to understand, and that's where these technologies help you pinpoint and focus on what you need to be preventing or defending.
A potential looming recession, continued supply chain disruptions and changes, and just a kind of a challenging global economic environment right now lead to a challenging cybersecurity landscape as well. Gabi, how do economic forces change the threat intelligence landscape?
Yeah, so this economic instability in the world, I think, is bringing a big challenge to all of us. Because on one side, if we believe, and we do believe, that the cybersecurity threats to organizations are going to grow, and when every time that there are some economic instabilities in our history of the past 300, 400 years, then some of the criminal activities and people trying to gain other ways of getting wealth is also coming up into play. So with that said, you need, it's obvious that you need to be more protected, you need to take steps and protecting yourself and preventing attacks from happening. So on one side, the budgets a lot, we need to look at it, we need to reduce the budgets on one side, we need to look at our processes, we need to be more effective, but on the flip side of that, we need to increase budgets because we need to be more protected. So I think there are a couple of things that are going to happen, but one of the most important things is that there's going to be more alliance in more organizations towards all kinds of different security service providers or MSSPs that will help them optimize efficiency of building better security with maybe lesser costs. That's going to happen. And other reason for that is also because the skill set that is needed to understand and how to prevent and build the cybersecurity, the security defenses requires skill sets that are not easy, and it's quite a scarce resource. So that's also part of it also.
It's hard not to look at geopolitical forces and think about Russia and Ukraine, as well as Russia's cyber capabilities. But there's also Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, and the players that are always engaging in cyber: Iran, North Korea, the United States, the UK, and Israel. So how are geopolitical forces, especially this unique moment in time and history, how are geopolitical forces changing the cybersecurity and threat intelligence landscape?
Yeah, I always believe that the digital war or meeting grounds between different actors always mimic to some extent some kind of geopolitical forces also. And we've seen it in the past 20, 30 years, but especially in the past 5 years. And even more than that, within this confrontation between Russia and Ukraine, which goes beyond that because it's Europe, it's China, it's US, everybody's involved in that. And you see multiple circles of one, there's a lot of state-driven or state-sponsored, or at least issues where states are not condoning all kinds of behaviors. So you see all kinds of groups. It could be, again, not state-sponsored, but state non-condoned or organizations that are trying to attack. And then it's not only critical infrastructure, but critical infrastructure across the globe is impacted from that. So you see all kinds of utilities and others that are required from the federal perspective, others to actually take further steps than anything done before. But also private sector could be attacked, or could be there could be specific threats there also. So I'm saying there's always this cloning or mimicking or shadowing of what happened on the geopolitical physical environment to what's happening in digital meeting grounds. And that's where we, as the cybersecurity or like defenders or protectors of this world, need to also take into consideration and take some specific steps.